In a world where the pursuit of productivity has become an obsession, we've been led to believe that the key to success lies in our ability to manage our time effectively. We've been sold on the idea that with the right tools, the right mindset, and the right amount of discipline, we can achieve anything we set our minds to. But what if everything we know about productivity is a lie? What if the very systems we've been taught to use to get more done are actually holding us back? The concept of productivity has been around for centuries, but it wasn't until the Industrial Revolution that it became a core part of our culture. With the rise of factories and assembly lines, workers were forced to work long hours in repetitive and mundane tasks, and the idea of productivity was born out of necessity. But as we've transitioned into a knowledge-based economy, the rules of productivity have remained largely unchanged. We're still told to work longer hours, to be more efficient, and to eliminate distractions, but the truth is that this approach is no longer serving us. In fact, studies have shown that the human brain is only capable of focusing for short periods of time, and that prolonged periods of concentration can actually lead to decreased productivity. Furthermore, the constant pressure to perform and the fear of not meeting deadlines can lead to stress, anxiety, and burnout. So, why do we continue to cling to these outdated notions of productivity? Is it because we're afraid of change, or is it because we've been misled by the very people who claim to be experts in the field? As we delve deeper into the world of productivity, we'll discover that the truth is far more complex and nuanced than we've been led to believe, and that the key to achieving our goals may lie not in working harder, but in working smarter. By questioning the status quo and challenging our assumptions, we may just find that the secret to productivity has been hidden in plain sight all along. The pursuit of productivity is a multi-billion-dollar industry, with countless books, courses, and apps all promising to help us get more done in less time. But what if the real secret to productivity is not about getting more done, but about living a more fulfilling life? We've all been there, stuck in a never-ending cycle of to-do lists, reminders, and deadlines, constantly striving to be more productive, yet feeling like we're not achieving enough. The concept of productivity has become an obsession in our society, with millions of people around the world trying to find the perfect formula to get more done in less time. But what if everything we know about productivity is a lie? What if the very systems and tools we use to boost our productivity are actually holding us back? The problem starts with the way we think about time. We've been conditioned to believe that time is a limited resource, and that the more we can cram into our schedules, the more productive we'll be. But this mindset is flawed. It's based on the idea that time is a commodity that can be controlled and managed, when in reality, it's a fluid and dynamic concept that can't be contained. By trying to micromanage our time, we end up feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and burnt out. Another issue is the way we prioritize tasks. We're often told to focus on the most important tasks first, to break them down into smaller chunks, and to use techniques like the Pomodoro technique to stay on track. But what if our priorities are misguided? What if the tasks we're focusing on aren't actually aligned with our goals and values? By blindly following productivity systems and formulas, we can end up spending a lot of time and energy on things that don't really matter to us. And then there's the role of technology in all of this. We're constantly being sold on the latest apps, tools, and gadgets that promise to boost our productivity, but in reality, they often end up being distractions. Social media, email, and text notifications can be major productivity killers, yet we can't seem to resist the temptation to check them constantly. We're also being tracked and monitored by these tools, which can create a sense of anxiety and pressure to perform. The truth is, productivity is not just about getting more done in less time. It's about living a fulfilling and meaningful life, where we're able to pursue our passions and make a positive impact on the world. But the systems and tools we use to boost our productivity are often at odds with this vision. They prioritize efficiency and speed over creativity, reflection, and well-being. By buying into these systems, we're essentially trading our happiness and fulfillment for a false sense of productivity. It's time to take a step back and re-examine our assumptions about productivity, to question the systems and tools we use, and to find a more authentic and sustainable approach to living and working. The concept of productivity has been sold to us as a linear, straightforward process, where the more hours we work, the more we accomplish. However, this notion is far from the truth. In reality, productivity is a complex, multifaceted phenomenon that has been distorted by societal pressures, cultural norms, and economic interests. The idea that we must constantly be busy, always pushing ourselves to work longer and harder, is a myth that has been perpetuated by those who benefit from our labor. The truth is that the human brain is not designed to function optimally in a state of constant busyness. Research has shown that prolonged periods of focus can lead to mental fatigue, decreased motivation, and a decline in overall well-being. Moreover, the pressure to be constantly productive can lead to burnout, a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion that can have severe consequences on our health and relationships. The notion of the ideal worker is another fallacy that has been ingrained in our culture. This concept assumes that the ideal worker is one who is always available, always connected, and always willing to put in extra hours. However, this ideal is not only unrealistic but also unhealthy. It ignores the fact that humans have limitations, that we need rest, relaxation, and time to recharge. The cult of busyness has led us to believe that taking breaks, practicing self-care, and prioritizing our well-being is a sign of laziness or lack of dedication. The truth is that some of the most productive and successful individuals throughout history have been those who have prioritized their well-being, who have taken time to relax, reflect, and recharge. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, was known to take long breaks, often spending hours gazing out the window, lost in thought. Similarly, Albert Einstein was famous for his love of music and sailing, activities that he credited with helping him to relax and stimulate his creativity. The concept of productivity has also been hijacked by the tech industry, which has created a multitude of tools and apps designed to keep us constantly connected, constantly working. These tools, while intended to increase our efficiency, have instead led to a state of continuous distraction, where we are constantly bombarded with notifications, emails, and messages. This has resulted in a state of continuous partial attention, where we are never fully focused, never fully present. In reality, true productivity is not about being constantly busy, but about being focused, intentional, and mindful. It is about prioritizing our well-being, taking time to rest and recharge, and cultivating a sense of purpose and meaning in our work. By recognizing the lies that have been sold to us about productivity, we can begin to create a more balanced, more sustainable, and more fulfilling approach to our work and our lives. We can learn to work smarter, not harder, and to prioritize our well-being, rather than our busyness. As we dive deeper into the world of productivity, it becomes clear that the conventional wisdom we've been fed is nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion. The truth is, the vast majority of productivity advice is based on flawed assumptions and a lack of understanding of human psychology. We're told to prioritize tasks, manage our time, and minimize distractions, but what if these strategies are actually holding us back? What if the very foundations of our productivity systems are built on quicksand? The concept of time management is a perfect example. We're led to believe that by carefully allocating our time, we can achieve more and be more productive. But research has shown that this approach is fundamentally flawed. The human brain is not capable of accurately estimating time, and our perception of time is distorted by a multitude of factors, including our emotional state, the task at hand, and even the lighting in the room. This means that our carefully constructed schedules are often nothing more than rough estimates, and the rigid adherence to these schedules can actually stifle our creativity and productivity. Another myth that's been perpetuated is the idea that multitasking is a key component of productivity. We're told that by juggling multiple tasks simultaneously, we can achieve more in less time. But the truth is, multitasking is a productivity killer. When we try to perform multiple tasks at once, our brain is forced to constantly switch between tasks, resulting in a significant decrease in focus and productivity. In fact, studies have shown that multitasking can reduce productivity by as much as 40%, and even lead to a decrease in IQ. The cult of busyness is another phenomenon that's been peddled as a key component of productivity. We're told that the busiest people are the most productive, and that if we're not constantly on the go, we're not achieving our full potential. But this is a lie. The truth is, busyness is often a sign of inefficiency, not productivity. When we're constantly running from one task to the next, we're not giving ourselves the time and space to focus on the task at hand, and to do it to the best of our ability. In fact, some of the most productive people in the world are those who prioritize quiet, focused work, and who are not afraid to say no to non-essential tasks. The truth is, productivity is not about being busy, it's about being focused. It's about understanding how our brains work, and using that knowledge to create systems that support our productivity, rather than hinder it. It's about recognizing the lies that we've been told, and being brave enough to challenge the status quo. By doing so, we can unlock a new level of productivity, one that's based on reality, rather than myth. We can achieve more, in less time, and with less stress. The question is, are you ready to challenge the conventional wisdom, and to discover the truth about productivity? As we conclude our journey into the world of productivity, it's essential to acknowledge that the truth is far more complex than we initially thought. The notion that we must constantly be productive, that every moment must be optimized, is a lie that has been perpetuated by societal pressures and corporate interests. The reality is that our brains are not wired to be constantly productive, and attempting to do so can lead to burnout, anxiety, and depression. The cult of productivity has convinced us that we must be constantly busy, that any moment of idleness is a wasted opportunity, but this couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, downtime, relaxation, and leisure are essential components of a healthy and productive life. By embracing our limitations, acknowledging our humanity, and rejecting the cult of productivity, we can begin to rebuild our relationship with work and time. We must recognize that productivity is not an end in itself, but rather a means to an end, a way to create a life of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. By doing so, we can break free from the shackles of the productivity myth and create a more authentic, more sustainable, and more fulfilling existence.